Zino was 12 the night the spider crawled beneath his skin. It happened beneath the cola tree, long before it was fenced off and forgotten by time and politics. Midnight draped Nkemba in silence, and his mother led him barefoot through the dark, dressed in ceremonial white, his hands trembling. The priestess had said the family's legacy must pass through blood. No one told him what it would pass into. Candles flickered against the gnarled trunk. A ring of salt circled the base. His mother's voice changed as she began chanting in the tongue of the dust-born. And then it came. The spider. Not natural. Not ordinary. Its body shimmered like obsidian drenched in smoke. It didn't descend from a branch. It simply appeared, hanging midair, then landing soundlessly on Zeno's chest. Its legs curled softly around his ribs, like a memory. "You must not scream," his mother whispered. He didn't. Not even when it slipped beneath his skin and vanished inside him. He had dreamed of webs ever since. Years later, Zeno stood alone in his private quarters, shirtless, gazing into a mirror that no longer behaved like glass. He traced the faint scar at the center of his chest. It pulsed, not from pain, but from something older, something waking. The dreams had returned, webs stretching across the sky, his mother's voice warning him to seal the mine, and eyes threaded with gold watching from flames. His palms began to itch. The mirror rippled. From it stepped a shape, taller, darker, cloaked in golden shadow. Himself, but not. The mirror self grinned. "Did you think the spider would sleep forever?" Zeno didn't blink. "I'm ready." The reflection's grin widened. "Good, because Nari has found the grave." At the edge of the northern forest, behind the forgotten chapel, Nari knelt beside Ayika. The earth beneath them was too soft, too recent. They had only been digging for minutes when bones surfaced. Dozens, then hundreds, warped, crushed, tossed without care. Some wore scraps of uniforms, Ekanjo mine workers, buried without names. Ayika covered her mouth. Nari turned over a rusted coin in her palm, stamped with her family's crest. She didn't cry. She had seen this grave in her dreams. And as her fingers touched the soil again, she heard it, faint, fast, whispering like spider legs skittering across stone. The grave was shallow, far too shallow for how deep the truth ran. 37 bodies so far, Ayika counted. Each fragment of bone pulled the truth closer. Not all wore mining gear. Some wore ritual cloth, patterned in glyphs Nari recognized from her mother's journal. These weren't just laborers. They were participants, victims. Nari flipped through the journal to a page labeled Kogbole, the Devouring Pact. When the gold ran dry, the ancestors demanded payment. Gold never comes free. It hungers for names, for breath. It must be fed. "You're saying these people were sacrifices?" Ayika asked. Nari nodded. "The mine was cursed long before it was rich." Ayika stood, fists trembling. "We need to tell someone. The press, the police." "No," Nari said sharply. "Why not?" Nari looked up. "Because once this gets out, I'll be dead by morning." In his royal chambers, Zeno read the morning security brief with quiet detachment. "Grave disturbance. Sector 4. Anonymous excavation." He circled the note with red ink, then crossed it out. "Seal it," he ordered. Kaluma raised an eyebrow. "By law? By cement? And your sister?" Zeno looked up. His voice was ice. "She's not the one digging. She's the one remembering." He turned to the mirror. This time, it didn't show his face. It showed the mine. And a flickering mask, grinning in the dark. That night, in Tene's hut, the bones landed again in a spiral. Tene inhaled sharply. "The grave is open," she whispered. "The bones have begun to speak." And in the firelight behind her, a procession passed in silence, ghostly figures wearing old Ekanjo mining badges, their mouths sewn shut with threads of ash. Nari sat cross-legged before Tene's bone mat. Smoke curled from the brazier in the center of the room, rhythmic, like breath. "You are ready," Tene said. Nari opened her eyes. "You said there's more to the prophecy." "There is," Tene replied. "But first, you had to feel it." She reached into her robe and unrolled a scroll bound in red fiber. "This was written by the first priestess of the bone house. It was buried with her and returned to me by a storm." The ink pulsed on the page. "When the chain cracks thrice, 3 shadows shall rise. The child of flame will return to the house. One sibling must die, or the kingdom will." "Siblings?" Nari asked. Tene nodded. "You and Zino. He won't stop. He's already doing rituals in the mine." "Then you must stop him." "I'm not a killer." Tene drew a line of ash across Nari's forehead. "Then pray he becomes one." Below, in Zeno's underground chamber, the salt circle burned black around him. Kalumi stood just outside. The red-eyed twins chanted. The spider tattoo on Zino's chest pulsed and twitched. The prophecy surfaces, hissed Zuberi. You cannot escape it, Sika added. Zino whispered Nari's name into a bowl of goat's blood. The surface rippled. He saw her, crying. She looked up, met his eyes, and mouthed the words, "One sibling must die." The bowl shattered in his hands. Later that night, Nari dreamed of the kola tree. It bled. Names spilled from its bark, not written, but spoken. Her mother's voice echoed through the dream. 3 prophecies were kept from you, Nari. Only one has been spoken. You must uncover the others before the 3rd chain breaks. When she awoke, the ashes in the brazier had formed a perfect Ouroboros. Outside her window, 3 birds perched, all of them headless. Zino knew how to smile. He had charmed generals, diplomats, even spirits. But tonight's guest needed more than charm. She needed power. Minister Omalora was sharp, dangerously loyal only to herself. She controlled Nkemba's communications. Zino needed her to keep Nari's movements silent. They dined in the upper gardens, beneath velvet skies. You've aged well, she said. I've aged strategically, Zino answered. Say what you want. Your loyalty. And the price. He leaned in. Let me show you. Hours later, tangled in bedsheets and secrets, she whispered, You're raising something. No, Zino said. I'm containing it. Your sister's part of that? She's the spark. She never should have returned. Omalora offered him protection from rumors, from the press. Zino smiled faintly, but not from her. Meanwhile, in the east wing of the abandoned city library, Ayika and Nari pried open a hidden drawer beneath warped floorboards. Inside, scrolls, bound records, a mirror wrapped in silk, and a letter, signed by Omalora, dated a month after their mother's death. The girl must never know what her mother saw. Ayika froze. She's sleeping with your brother, isn't she? Nari didn't answer. She was already reading the next line. If the prophecy reaches the 2nd name, the eater will rise with a new mask. It will not hunger for gold. It will hunger for legacy. Kalume was a man of his word, even when the words were cruel. The traitor was young, a guard named Idris, caught passing messages to Ayika. Kalume slit his throat with a blade of black iron. No hesitation, no emotion. He carried the blood to the mine. Zino stood at the edge of the pit. The 6th chain was humming. Kalume poured the blood. The ground groaned. Steam rose. The 6th chain cracked. Zino smiled. One more. Kalume's hands trembled. I'm forgetting things, he said. My brother's names, my mother's voice. I looked in the mirror and saw a stranger. Zino stared. The general's eyes were no longer white. Veins spread like roots. You've been too close to the pit, Zino said. No, Kalume murmured. The pit's been too close to me. On Ayika's rooftop, Nari watched the eclipse. The moon looked like a sealed eye, weeping red. She opened the final sealed page in her mother's journal. Inside, a strip of red silk, a drawing, a woman at the center of a chained pit, holding a blade, not a queen, not a priestess, a sister, a sacrifice. Ayika sat beside her with 2 cups of tea. You okay? I think I know how this ends, Nari whispered. Ayika handed her a cup, then let's rewrite it.
Audio Jungle.